Wanted to do this video because I saw a bunch of my Love Island girls making a similar video, so I kind of wanted to give my insight onto how the whole process went for me. So one of the main questions I got is how and why did you go on Love Island, and what was the casting process like? So I think the why is probably the first part, and that is because almost about a year ago in December, I had this like huge blowout with my ex-boyfriend, and it was just like, it was a song for a different day. So my best friend Jen was approached for the show, and she was trying out for the show, and she told the casting director, hey, I have my best friend is going through this terrible breakup. Like, she could really use this. I think she would be great on the show. She has a great personality, like whatever. So the casting director reached out to me, and we had a little chat. We talked, and he was like, I like you. I think we should put you on to the next round. So I got put on to the next round, and that's basically where you're talking to a bunch of people that you're probably never gonna meet over the phone, asking you questions that probably make you a little uncomfortable, but just go with it, be yourself. I'm looking around at the mess in my room. I am so sorry. I am a mess, always. Sorry guys, just ignore it. So yeah, you talk to a bunch of people, and then if you make it through all of those rounds, you have a video call with one of the main casting people. And this is where you're making your video for them to pitch you to the producers. So when you're talking to them, you know, you're talking about why you and your ex-boyfriend broke up. What happened? Are you the problem? Like, have you ever thrown up on a frat boy? Like, anything, just anything crazy, tell them, because it makes you stand out. So then you go on to the producers, see you, and if they like you, they'll move you on to finals. And in finals, you're staying at a hotel, you're sequestered for a week, and you don't have a phone, you can't talk to anyone, you can only leave your room when you're like summoned by casting. Which is so funny because you're just like in your room watching. I had a drawing book, coloring book. And you're basically going through a bunch of producer meetings and medical meetings or evaluations and psych evaluations, because you have to be mentally stable to be on the show, and you can't have any STDs. You get a blood test. It's huge. I actually have my schedule like hanging up, and I'll probably get in trouble for showing you, so I probably can't show you too closely, but that was the schedule of when I could go get dinner, when I could go to the gym, when I could get breakfast. It was all timed out so that you never saw anyone else who was auditioning. So you go through all that, and I went through several producer meetings where the first one, you have 10 that are sitting in front of you asking questions. Then, you know, it's all being filmed as well, so you're sitting in front of a camera. And then you move on to the next round if you make it, and there's 15 producers sitting in front of you asking questions. And then you move on to the next round, and there's about 25 staring at you. So you do all of that, and then if you do make it to the very end, you go to CBS, where you get to meet all the execs, and that's where they ultimately make the decision if they would like to consider you being on the show or if you're just a no. So I think with the producer meetings, my number one advice would be to be yourself. Don't hold back in any way. If you're so extra and crazy, like, be that way, because it's gonna come out anyway. So I think being yourself is 100% the key. Don't try to censor yourself. Like, I was always nervous that I was gonna curse, and they would always tell me, don't worry about it. Like, that's not what you should be worrying about. If it comes out, it comes out, whatever. If you say something that isn't PC, they're not gonna be like, oh, shock, horror. Like, oh my God, what a terrible person. Like, just be yourself. And that's all I can really say, is because you have to make yourself stand out. The way that Caro was explaining how you need like a selling point, it's so right. It's so spot on. My whole thing was, you know, I'm just here to find someone. If I don't find someone, I mean, that sucks, but we'll figure it out. And my whole thing, you know, was being funny and just very outgoing, and just didn't care about like what I look like all the time and that kind of stuff. So I walked in and I wanted to be quirky and I wanted to make them remember me in some way. So I walked into my very first meeting and I was just like, I got a text. And then I sat down and answered all the questions, and it was fun. And like, if you don't think about it too much, it's very, very fun. And the producers will be having fun if you're having fun. So that was my whole thing during the producer meetings. Just don't take it too seriously. Have fun with it. Tell funny stories. Like, if you're there, you're obviously there because you have something funny that happened in your life or hilarious stories. And then, so when you go to the exec meetings, it's pretty much all the same. I mean, they're asking you the similar questions, and do not censor yourself. Like, that was also one of my main concerns, was cursing in front of the VP of CBS. Like, who wants to do that? Who wants to, like, and I did it. And I talked about nudes in front of him. Like, and it was fine. Like, they're there to make a show. They want the best people with the hilarious stories that you're gonna tell. So I don't think hindering yourself or keeping any hilarious stories back is something you should do. So that's my whole spiel on that. So if you make it to the exec meetings after that, whatever, you go through that and then you go home. And so I was there in March. So I had gone from December to March, which is a very long time. And then from March to June, the very end of June, is when I found out I was gonna be on the show. That's a long time. So the waiting game is definitely something you need to be prepared for. It was rough. I tried to just put it out of my brain and say, if it's meant to be, it will be. And I got a call on Friday at like 3 p.m. at my work. And I was like, oh God, what is this gonna be? And I answered and they were like, hey, do you wanna come to Fiji on Monday? It was Friday. And I was like, in 2 days? You want me to pack for a month? 2 days? So I obviously said yes. Like, I couldn't pass up that opportunity. And I flew to Fiji on Monday, and it was the best decision I ever made. And probably the most crazy decision I've ever made in my life. But so I got on a flight, and you lose a day when you fly to Fiji because they're a day ahead. And I met my chaperone, who was with me for 11 to 12 days. We were sequestered in another hotel, and we had schedules. Like, our chaperones were texting each other. Like, all the girls were at one hotel, the guys were at another. The chaperones would be texting each other like, we're moving. Like, it's like the CIA, because none of us could see each other. And so that was hilarious. My chaperone was amazing. Her name was Mackie, and like, we were best friends. And so I had a lot of fun, but you have no phone. You have a strict schedule of when you can go get breakfast, when you can go eat lunch, when you can go to the gym, when you can go to the pool, when you can go to the beach. Like, it's a lot. And for 11 days, that's a lot. And you have all of this excitement going through you, like, oh my God, am I gonna be like, who's gonna go in first? Like, who's gonna be a bombshell? Like, what's happening? So it's a lot. And I think people should prepare for that as well. So basically throughout that week, you are traveling to do press, you do photo shoots, you do videos, you do video shoots, you do the interviews that we do in the beginning, like with all those lights, we did those. God, I can't even think of what else. Just crazy stuff that you're like, am I a supermodel now? Like, what's happening? Like, I was like crawling on the ground. I had no idea what I was doing in front of a camera because I am not a model. So that was like a tragic experience for me. But the producers are hilarious, and they make you so comfortable that they're like, get on the floor and crawl right now like a cat. And like, they just make you very, very comfortable. And I remember in my interview, like talking about when I said, get me a man, please. Like, my entire body was sweating. Like, I was drenched in sweat. Someone would have to come pat my mustache literally probably 5 times every minute. It was so sad. So that was like what kind of happened throughout that week. And then towards the end of the week, we all had meetings with the main producers, and we sat at a table with them, and we had a talk about the rules, what was going to happen, what was not acceptable in the villa, all that kind of stuff. And then they told me that I was going to be one of the first people in the villa. And I get the chills still talking about it. Like, I just got the chills. And it was probably one of the proudest moments of my life. And I know that sounds really lame. You're like, oh my God, like, you're proud, cool. Like, you go through all of these things for so many months, and then you find out that it really did pay off. And it was just such an exciting moment for me. I was so grateful. I was like, I don't know why you guys picked me. I don't know what I did. I don't know what like horse blinders you're wearing, but keep wearing them. And I swear, like, I love you. So that was probably one of the most exciting things in my life, hearing that and saying it out loud. Now it kind of sounds embarrassing, but it was. And, the producers just had all the faith in the world, and God bless them. So probably not the day after, but the next day, I had a call time of like 3 a.m. So I was up at the ass crack of dawn. Like, I was so unwell driving to this other hotel that we were being transported to. And I went directly into hair and makeup. I met with the doctor to like give all of our medications to, because we don't bring them into the villa, they're brought to us. And I was just like so awestruck. And then they put me in one of the producers' like hotel rooms to wait for the call. And it was like my favorite producer, Nat. She was the greatest person ever. So I hung out in her room, and there's this whole thing with production, hurry up and wait. So they're like, get your shoes on. Like, we're going right now. You gotta get in the van. And then I put my shoes on. I'm sitting there. I'm like, I thought we had to go right now. It's been like an hour. So also be prepared for that. I'm sweating. Cause I'm getting like so amped talking about this. So yeah, so I was hurry up and waited, and then they went through my bag. So they go through your suitcases. They like black out anything that has, logos on it. They took this out of my bag, and this is the funniest story. Like, one of the producers, Lauren, she took it and she was like, Alex, what? And I was like, it's a face roller. It's a face roller, and it does magical things. It just lymphatically drains you like nothing, nobody's business. So that was hilarious. And she took it away, and she was like, I'm gonna have to run this past every single person before I allow you to bring this in. So it was so funny. Probably like a week into the villa, I opened the magic cabinets, and it was sitting there, and I did it on everyone, and they all made fun of me, but then they were like, oh, this really works. Anyway, so they go through your bags, they search everything, they take things that have like logos that they can't hide. And then I got sent into a van, and that's where I was brought into this little tent outside the villa. And now that I think about it, I'm so curious as to where it was, like outside of the villa, because now that I know what it looks like and everything. So I sat in the tent, I was getting touch-ups because it was so hot. I was sweating balls. Like, it was so embarrassing. I was just dripping, and I was getting my hair fixed because our hair would not stay. Like, if I did my hair like this, it would be it looked like I jumped into a pool. It was so unattractive. And I remember when Ariel was like, are you guys ready to meet the boys? I was like this? I look hideous. Like, what the hell? So I was so upset. I was like, my hair is wet. Like, should I just jump in the pool? So anyway, they were doing the touch-ups, and then all of the main 3 producers were in there just kind of like giving you a pep talk. And that's when I found out that I was literally going to be the first person riding in on the Jeep going into the villa. And it was all surreal because one of the best producers ever, Ben, who had been there with me like from the start, he was the guy who was interviewing me from the very beginning at finals. And he was like, I just want you to know, this is so insane. You were the very first person we ever saw a video of when they were being shown talent. And that was so crazy to me because it was just, I was the first person they ever saw, and I'm first person going to the villa, and we both cried, and it was just embarrassing and amazing all at the same time. And then Ariel was dying to meet just one person because we were all so nervous. We had no idea what was gonna happen. And so she was like, can I please just meet someone? And so I was the first one there. So she came in and we talked about how nervous we were, and just, so I was the first one to get to meet Ariel, which was very cool. and we just had like a brief conversation. And then I got trailed off into this little van again, and I waited, and I'm assuming that's when Caro came in and got all of her touch-ups done, and she had her little talk, and then I was brought in on the Jeep, and that's when I'm like, whoa! And so I get out, like we have not seen the villa yet at all, and I get out, and I had to hide in a bush because Caro was coming in on the other side in her Jeep, and like they didn't want us to see each other before we were supposed to see each other. So I was literally hiding in a bush, and they go, okay, 1, 2, 3. And we walked out, and we were like, ah! Like it was so crazy. It was the first time we had ever seen each other. Like I didn't see her anywhere. It was so insane. And it was just the best feeling in the world. Like I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be spending my summer with this girl. This is amazing. So we walked in, and it was just, I have chills all over my body just from the way that it felt walking into the villa, being the first people there, like nothing touched. It was pristine. It was perfect. It was insane. We walked through, and Caro was being so funny. She just walked through everything, and she's looking at the furniture, and she looks at me and she goes, we have to touch every single piece of furniture, every piece of little prop, everything before someone comes in. So we ran around the entire villa touching everything, and it was hilarious. I freaking love her, and I knew it from the start. So that was kind of the journey of from start to not finish, but from the very beginning of Love Island. So if you guys are thinking about trying out, please do it. Please, you will not regret it. Even if you don't make it, all of the experience that you'll have from talking to all these random people that you would never tell these stories to will help you in the future with any future endeavor. Like, just go for it and kill it and be yourselves. And I'm so excited to see the next cast.